graders. As a parent of a 12th grader, the kids that I know, I'd say it's a heck of a lot more than 32%. So I would just be curious about that as far as the studies about alcohol. The third thing is that when you go down to Colorado and you go into a recreational dispensary, they have a product that it's 10 ounces of liquid, and it's 100 milligrams of this product, and they give you a little cup, and it's a 1 ounce cup, so you pour that in there, and that's 10 milligrams of THC. Now, I'll apologize up front, I'm an engineer, so I look at things a little differently than most folks. So, a gallon of water weighs 8.33 pounds. So if you do the math, you come up pretty close to 1 ounce of weight is about equal to 1 fluid ounce of water. So I sit there and think that the way that the law is written right now, 3 ounces is a felony. So this is about 3 ounces, I'd say. It's an 8-ounce cup. So to me, if you have this product in your car, this is a felony to a college student. I just see the disconnect. And in my business, I tell the people that work for us, don't bring me your problems, bring me your solutions. And so what is the solution for this? I don't think having this much of a marijuana drink should bring a felony to an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever. So what is the solution? As my personal opinion, I think Representative Croker said it best. I mean, come up with a solution that law enforcement can live with. Say, maybe it's 3 pounds, maybe it's a gallon of fluid that's going to be, maybe it's, as far as the cream goes, maybe it's up to 16 ounces. But I mean, I don't envy you guys' position here, but there's got to be some common sense solutions here, other than, like I said, having this with marijuana. Because you get pulled over with this, they're going to drop their stick in there, see there's THC in there, and this is a felony. I don't think so.
Any questions? We're done.
Yes.
Any questions? Thank you. Public comment.
Hi, I'm the Sparks of 420 Wyoming and Wyoming Women. First, let's debunk the myth. We've got over 70 compounds that come from the cannabis plant. We're not talking about the THC-9, if the doctor would have done her research appropriately. Tech-9 is what we like to call it. That is pure THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. That is what you're worried about in your children. Yes, this is a medical problem. We need to approach cannabis use as medical, not recreational. And half of the studies that she's probably been looking at are from recreational smokers. We do not advocate for smoking. In fact, if you look at the research studies, 90% of the medical effect of cannabis is taken away when you put heat to it in a pipe. So we do not recommend smoking this at all. We do not want to be Colorado. Colorado has made many mistakes down to their blood test system and their testing on the cannabis itself. You're finding inaccuracies because we all have an ECS system in our bodies, ECS being endocannabinoid. So they're not looking at the level of the ECS that's in your body to begin with. The Northern California studies and the newer Melbourne studies all say that this will promote neurogenesis in a brain. So we're talking Alzheimer's patients. We're looking at new neuron growth, and that's coming out in Northern California. It's one of the first studies of its kind. In fact, I just looked it up to make sure that I had it right. The International Journal of Neuropharmacology says that CBD, which is one of the components that we're talking about in particular, works with the hippocampus in our bodies and will promote new brain growth. We are also talking about a group of people that we have been taught since the 30s, thanks to Al Capone and Anslinger and Hearst, about prohibition. That this is bad, this is horrible, this is what goes along with it. Marijuana is a slang term, in fact, that came over from Mexico in about 1933, which it wasn't even marijuana they were talking about. It was loco weed, which is something totally different. Local weed, yes, it's some kind of weed that grows on the side of the road, the ditch weeds, and it will, in fact, induce hallucinations. But by the time the stories made it to the Midwest, they were so overinflated that everybody believed them, which made it easier for Anslinger to go ahead and push his propaganda so we could make alcohol legal and make Hearst rich. Indica-dominant strains CBD not only is non-toxic to your brain, I can go over this in many clinical trials. I've been studying this for years only because it saved my life. I have had 6 back surgeries. I have lupus and Ehlers-Danlos, which is debilitating and leaves you in a wheelchair. The more the doctor medicated me, the sicker I got. I thought, oh, I'm going to listen to my doctor. Well, by the time I'm laying there and my organs are shutting down and I'm almost dead, thought I had no hope, I heard about a little girl in back east who moved to Colorado, and she did it just for CBD. CBD is only one particular compound. Please keep this in mind. CBD not only, let me get to my notes here, it's an anticonvulsant, an antipsychotic, an anti-inflammatory, an antioxidant, an anti-tumoral, which means it fights cancer. It will kill, in a petri dish, cancer cells on contact within minutes. There is no messing around. This is a viable medicine. It also fights opioid addiction and alcoholism. So, while they may be saying, okay, we're worried about these children smoking pot, guess what? So are we. At a young age, the brain is not formed. And as far as I know, your brain isn't completely formed until around 21 to 26. So we would like to discourage the amount of cannabis smoking going on in these kids and prefer that we get higher education going. The more education we have as a community consisting with Wyoming, the better off we're going to be. We don't want our children running around and do this. This is not something to take out and play with. This is an actual medicine and it needs to be treated as such. I cannot stress that enough. It's an anxiolytic, which means it's an antidepressant. That's why it works so wonderfully on PTSD and our veterans that are coming back that are having severe trauma from what they've experienced in the war. My cousin's one of them. He is now with the Wounded Warrior Project, has a severe TBI. So I've seen what this can do firsthand in California on an injured brain. The depression goes away. They don't have to use hardly any drugs that come from Big Pharma at all. Big Pharma has taught us that, oh please, let's take a pill for everything. Well, guess what? CBD, you don't need these pills. As I stated earlier, the pills no longer work. They just don't. The way the body metabolizes the drug, it inhibits the fact to make, it inhibits the scientific work that's going on from these drugs, where they attack in the brain, so that the drugs do not work. They are just not as effective. So that's just kind of a layman's term on how and why it works. I have a ton of stuff to say, but I'll try to get to the most of it. There's 3 different kinds of CBD. There's raw, decarboxylated, and filtered. nectar is what you're gonna find in honey and the creams that Mr. Payne was talking about, which are effective for pain relief. They are a topical cream. They also have sprays that work from filtered CBD. These are fantastic topical. They work, but they're only limited, and you can't just heal your body with just the pain sprays or the pain creams. You have to be aware of what you're doing. You need to watch your diet. This is a whole body, mind, and spirit thing. And maybe that's something we don't approach as much as we should. And therefore, that's how we end up on all these drugs to begin with. When our mind and our body and our spirit is broken to a certain extent, it opens us up for different diseases. And I know that might sound a little crazy, but from a neurogenic standpoint and from a homeopathic standpoint, it is the truth. The essence of a kidney infection is pissed offness, believe it or not. I know that sounds corny, but when you get mad, women can get UTIs. It starts with our psychological makeup. If we want to take care of our bodies in a different light, and we expect the CBD to just come in and rescue us overnight, we have another thing coming. We're a fast food nation. We need to get off the high sugars and all these things. We need to start taking care of our bodies and exercising and doing these things if we expect this kind of medicine to work. Homeopathic doesn't work all by itself. It needs help. I'm not going to lie to you. You've got to change your diets. You're creating inflammation in your body every time you take creamer in the morning with your coffee. The things that we're putting into our bodies are what making us sick. The environmental causes are making us sick, such as the fly ash and Gillette. These things are making us sick. If we want to combat these things, we have to stop doing them, and we have to start treating our bodies right to get this stuff to work. CBD can work with a doctor's care, but here's the problem with that. Right now, you guys have it where anybody under 18 that has epilepsy has to see 3 neuro doctors. Some of these kids are so sick they cannot get out of bed. How can somebody with 500 seizures a day, like Charlotte PD, be able to go see 3 neuro doctors when she's so sick she can't even put her arms around her mother's neck? So that's kind of food to chew on there, guys. And now, the people with cancer, the antitumorol, they're being illegally healed all over the world with something called RSO, which is a dark oil from hemp. It's called the Rick Simpson oil. It essentially, as I said earlier today, it goes into the body and works with the CB1 and CB2 receptors and blocks the neural pain pathways in the body. It will stop seizures, however, in its tracks, where it takes a little longer to stop a cancer tumor, say 6 weeks. So we're not talking about our grandmother's marijuana, as everybody wants to call it. Whatever the hippies were doing back then, yes, it can create euphoric products, you know, I mean, let's face it. But we aren't talking about getting high here. This is a non-psychoactive medication that has no euphoric effect whatsoever. If you want the euphoria, you have to add the other compounds with it. We're talking about basically 1/100% of THC in a CBD oil. So there's a big difference between these THCV or the THC9. It's just, you have to isolate that molecule, speaking botanistically, to get this to work. And the purest form comes from hemp, which is the male plant of cannabis. You can also produce building materials from it, plastics. My partner brought hempcrete she wanted to show you today, because you can